that should do it. I'm just going to close this window in a second, so we don't get all sorts of sound echo. There we go. All right, welcome everybody to Assistive Technology for Dyslexia. Today is March 4th, 2025. And I need to click up here. My name is Paul Samft. I'm the director of Pacer's Simon Technology Center, and along with me is
Christine Retzloff. I am an assistive technology specialist here at Simon Technology Center.
And we are broadcasting out of Bloomington, Minnesota today. Real quick, the handout. The reminder emails that you got from Zoom will have a link to this handout. You can use this QR code that you see in front of you, and Elizabeth, who is helping out with the chat today, just put the link to the handout in the chat. If you come late, you might not see that link, so she'll be putting the link into the chat kind of throughout the day. I'm also going to put the file in here directly, so you can download the file directly from the chat if the link doesn't work for you. But everything that we're covering today, as well as some things that we're not covering, are listed on the handout, along with prices and more information that we can't cover today. So this is a Zoom webinar. So if you're not familiar, we can't see you or hear you. So please use the chats if you have questions, comments, any technical difficulties. We'll do our best to help out. And also feel free to share your insights into these topics. Christine and I are not experts on dyslexia. We know the tools that we're showing today. That's where our expertise is. So anybody who has expertise on some of these subjects, feel free to share. It's a great way for all of us to learn. We learn new things. We simply don't have time to show every tool that's out there. So if you know a tool that works really well, absolutely share it in the chat. Also, if you're watching this live today in March, you can get a certificate of attendance. That'll be at the end. If you complete a survey at the end, there'll be a link for a certificate of attendance. But if you're watching the recording of this on YouTube, it doesn't work. That being said, we're recording this and it's on YouTube. So you'll be able to watch this again immediately at the end. It'll be on our YouTube channel called Simon Technology Center. All right, a little bit about Pacer. I'm sure you've been to our website if you've signed up for this webinar, but we do a lot of things with individuals and families of individuals with disabilities. In the Simon Technology Center in particular, we work with all ages, and we offer a lot of different services, including just answering questions. We do individualized consultations and trainings, as well as a lending library where a lot of these things are available. Now, we're showing some tools that are mostly free or have free trials, but we do have a lot of these apps available to check out from our lending library too. But we'll have more information on that a little bit later because I want to dive straight in to the cool stuff. All right, so here's how we've broken it down. We're going to be looking at text-to-speech built-in tools, so tools that you can find built into your mobile devices or computers. Then we'll look at reading tools and that optical character recognition, or OCR for short. Then we'll switch over to speech-to-text tools that you can find built into a lot of different devices. And then we'll get into some note-taking and then some reading and writing tools. That's how we've broken it up. There is some overlap in these different sections. A lot of tools that we're looking at will do a lot of these things, but we did our best to break them into different categories. So that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Christine to take a look at these particular items, or some of them. So let's dive right in.
All right, so text-to-speech built-in tools that can be found on any of your devices that you have, and it depends on what you are using. So for example, if I'm using, let's go back to this slide, iOS has what's called speak selection, and all of these are linked how to use them in our handout as well. Android has select to speech, talkback, etc. They have a lot of options, whereas your Chromebook has select to speech, and Windows and Microsoft Office also have that speech to text function as well. For the windows, you're supposed to do
Oh, yeah,
windows.
that's right. We're gonna do all of these? I don't know if we'll have time to do them all, but with Windows, well, I want to kind of show some of these other ones first as a comparison, if that's all right, if we have the time. I'm gonna switch over to this guy and show. So just the concept of selective speak, because showing the Windows narrator, I think is helpful to see kind of the difference. When it comes to these select to speak items, there are actually a lot of different ways to do text to speech in here, but I'll show you one of the simplest ways. So in your settings, which we actually covered this recently in an accessibility series, and if you go to accessibility, right down here, and then you have spoken content, you have this option here called speak selection. You can turn that off or on. And when you have that, then anytime you are at something with a page with text, let me bring up my photosynthesis thing. You can, it's hard to see here. If you press and hold down, you can select text anywhere. And then you have this option here to speak. That little option right there only shows up when you have that feature set up. But then it allows you to select the text and speak. It's really quiet.
Schematic of photosynthesis in plants. The carbohydrates produced are stored in or used by the plant.
Oops.
Composite image showing the global distribution.
Pause. Okay. So that works in Chromebook, it works in Android, and even to a degree in Microsoft Office. And so that's the piece where you have to actually physically select the text that you want to use, whereas narrator works a little bit different. With narrator, it's a built-in system to a Windows computer. So now, I assume you can hear that, right? I'm going to close that. How do I pause this? I don't know all the shortcuts for this. But I wanted to show this. But anyways, all right, so I exited narrator, but what that does is reads all of the text on your page. When I opened it up, let me open it up again. You saw some of those shortcuts here. So you can learn these shortcuts to navigate around, but it really... Uh-oh. Uh-oh, how do I turn it off? I have to go to my corner here. I might have to escape from the show here to do that. I mean, second. There, that's how you turn it off, if anybody's wondering. So anyways, so that's more of just a tool to see everything on your screen. So it's a little bit different than the select to speak, which is a little bit more focused at just grabbing text and going from there. So that is our select text to speech items. Should we move on to the next one?
Narrators is a Windows tool.
Yeah, that's what's built into narrator. There we go. All right.
So next up is what is optical character recognition. So what that is it's going to convert something like a PDF or a handwritten text into text that can be edited, searched, and then it also can be read aloud by text to speech. Some text to speech options only read like Word documents or on a website, whereas if it has the OCR capability, it can read almost any document. And what we found is when there's tables in things like the handout we have today, sometimes that's not perfect with the tables, but it is that functionality that it can scan other forms of text. So we're going to cover these options here. I'm going to kick off with Speechify and Natural Reader, and then Paul will take over for Textberry and Prismo, as well as Snap and Read and Envision. So first up, for Speechify, let me just drag this guy over here. should have this at first. If I go into Speechify, it's going to look a little bit different if you use just the web-based version. It is also a Google extension. So you can go in on the web and add in documents and then have it read it to you within the web version. So if I have a PDF, I can add that into.
Photography is the application and practice of creating images by recording one, either electronic.
So what I like about this one is it lets me click where I want it to read, and it'll read starting from there. And if I want to jump around the page, it'll do that really well. Some of the settings that are in the web version are going to be up at this top right here. So you can go in and text highlight. I have that done right now. So as it's reading, it'll highlight the text. It auto scrolls as it reads to you. I have the click to listen function turned on. That's why I could go and click throughout the page and it can start at a different spot. You can turn on dark mode. I don't like that feature, but every person is different, so that might be really helpful to someone else. And then you can go in, and these are the paid features, so you can upgrade and have it skip headers and footers if that's something that is useful to you. Other features down here, I can change the speed. Now, if you're in the free version, it only goes up to 1x speed. If you're doing the paid version, which if you look at the handout, it's $139 a year, you can go and crank it up. I don't know who would go up to 4x speed, but that is an option in Speechify. You can also slow it down if he reads a little quick for you. And then you can go in and change your options of your voices. So Snoop Dogg is one of the options.
This claim is widely reported, but is not yet largely recognized internationally.
So that's Snoop Dogg talking at 0.8 speed. So there's a bunch of different options. You can go in and the different voices are paid. Like the celebrity ones tend to be on the paid end of things. So you're paying that $139 a year for that function. Other paid options is to download this and convert it into an MP3. So if I just want to listen to something, maybe I'm studying, I can download this and convert it into an MP3, and that would be this function here. We only have the free version, so it won't do anything, but you can download that and listen to an MP3.
Can you talk more about the free option, because someone's only seeing a free 3-day trial on their website?
Okay, so the free option is going to do, let's go into, we'll go into this website. And we're gonna go into Speechify. So here is my free option. And I'm going to go into my voices. And I do have, limited time with each of these, more expensive voices.
So this is the Chrome extension though,
Right.
which is free.
Yes, yep, they both will work. So all voices, these are going to show you what is paid and what is free.
How
in here.
do you get to the web page version that you were just showing for free?
So web page version for free, you're just going to go to that Speechify site. And then if I go back in here, it will show you, once you hit, I haven't hit the limit for the like premium voices for the day yet, then it'll show you, and it's like the Microsoft options that are the free voices or the featured voices. Featured voices are paid. So AI enhanced tend to be the paid version. Another thing that it does is it can go in and I can go in and take a picture of where I want. So this would be the OCR, and now it's not choosing to work. Let's try a different website. Let's go into this one. And capture. is not choosing to work. So that would be your OCR reader where you can screen grab, but it's not working right now. And now it's not pulling up
Because it's open in a couple places, maybe.
on the page. All right,
Yeah,
there
I
we
can
go.
close it out of there.
Again, you can adjust your speed here as well, and then you can go into more settings down below here. If it'll pop up. Am I doing something wrong?
I think you might have to close it and reopen it.
Okay.
We have a lot of things running on this device, and sometimes they can get mixed up. You go over to there. Exit that maybe?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
that.
what, oh, yeah, it brings it up.
And it still hangs out. Where it should.
You're gonna have to hide the player, or yeah, everything's frozen. Oh well. But to readdress Andrea's question about the free one, it's the web app. So if you just go to speechify.com, I don't know if there's a link to the web portion of it, but I had to actually type in web app to get to app.speechify. So it was hard when you're just looking for pricing. They really want to direct you to the paid versions. But that's how you would get to that one.
All right, next one is Natural Reader. This one also comes free up to $19.99 a month. And if I jump into here and let's see if it'll close on this page. It is not wanting to close.
Hide player.
Hide player. Still not
Oh,
doing anything.
it's frozen.
Okay, let's go in and turn it off. There we go. So this is Natural Reader on the web. It also is a Chrome extension, just like Speechify.
I'm gonna switch the animation.
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
Like I said, it's $19.99 a month, or you can use the free version. The free version has limited voices. So I have one of the limited voices right now. There's only 3. And then you can go in and test those. I think David sounds the least robotic, but these all 3 are pretty robotic with that free version. But here it's a little more laid out as to what is premium, the paid version, and plus. So you can kind of know what your options are. You can also clone your own voice. So if that's something you like listening to yourself read, which can be good for literacy structure, you can go in and clone your own voice, but you have to do a bunch of recordings of your own voice, obviously, for that component to work. So in here, we'll just go and play.
Your files for time, paste, and edit text here. Natural Reader is a professional text.
And I like this one because it has the previews down at the bottom where it makes it bigger, but it also is guided.
There you go. When
On
that's playing,
your-
it's really-
Yeah. It's also guided while you're reading it at the top as well. Here you can go in and change your speed. Again, this one goes up to 5 times speed if you want to listen to things very fast. It also goes super slow, so you can adjust and customize that speed for what works best for you. I have the closed captioning on. That's what was down at the bottom there. And you can go in and save your files here. And if I go in and use Natural Reader on a Chrome extension, it shows up as this little bar off to the side. And I can go in and check my settings. I have auto scroll on, so it's going to scroll down the page as it's reading. I have click to read on, just like I did with Speechify, so I can go in and have it play
Synthesis.
where I click.
Synthesis is the process by which plants use sunlight.
There's also hotkeys, so this tells you you can go Alt-P to pause or resume when it's talking. Previous sentence is up, next sentence is down. And then you can have your highlighter and highlight to read on as well. Immersive Reader is just going to kind of take out and simplify the page, take out the pictures to where you are just working with the text. And then it blurs everything.
Process by which plants use sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide to create oxygen.
This one, it blurs the background of the part that you're not reading, if you want to use that immersive reader component. But again, the free voices are just those 3 options. You do have limited time with the Plus AI voices throughout the day, but it's like 5 minutes, I believe. It's a specific amount of words, but it equates to about 5 minutes a day with those Plus or premium voices.
I have a question about downloading onto work computers. In this case, this one, these last 2, we've been looking at Chrome extensions. So it really depends on your company's, I guess, firewall settings maybe, or just their security settings. But if you have the Chrome browser, theoretically, you can launch these. You don't actually download them onto the machine in this case, so far. And yep, this will be on, it'll be on our channel. Simon Technology Center will be the YouTube channel that this will be recorded to, for Laura, who just asked that question. Oh, were you done
You're
there?
good.
Christine?
You
Okay.
can go on to text fairy.
Okay. We're gonna move on to a couple of other things here, and we're gonna start looking at OCR. And I actually want to start with Snap and Read. So if we bring that back up, this is another Chrome extension. Let me get these guys out of here. Let me use this one here. Maybe. Uh-oh.
Maybe it's just that website.
Maybe give it the old refresh. There we go. All right, we're back in business. So Snap and Read is this extension here, and it has some pretty good features. I'm going to turn it on. We won't get into all of the features like the outlines and things necessarily, but it's really simple to use. There's just a couple of tools. That's actually one of the things I like about it, is there's just a handful of things that you can use here. If you hit this guy,
The Cultural Resources Program, RANKLST.
it'll start reading that. This is a very robotic voice, and there aren't really any settings. Let me see where they're at with settings for options here. In terms of bringing in those AI voices, you do have some controls of speed and stuff. I did switch to this particular voice, but they don't have the AI voices, at least not yet. But you do have some controls over how the background of the highlighter works and the text, speed and pitch and all that stuff. But it also has a couple of other things which I like. One, the screenshot reader, where you can drag over what you want read, so, or converted. So I'm going to grab that. This is kind of like OCR. Oh yeah, I'll turn the volume up on this thing here a little bit. If yeah, let's get the volume going here. Hopefully that helps. So this one, I'll try playing that again here. Let's get this going.
Photosynthesis /FOTSNSS.
Oh,
You gotta grab it again, I think.
yeah. Oh yeah, because when you have this on and you click, it starts reading at that point.
It produces oxygen.
And when you click again, it stops reading, and then you can jump around and click a different part. So
The details may differ between.
that's kind of one of the nice things about it, how you can jump around a little bit. But the other thing that this does is it can do this thing called rewordify. Oh, there's a question here. In the settings, there was a rewordify. Does that simplify the text in real time? So I'll show you what that does. If I hit this, every word that went, I think in italics, switch this word from critical to a very important role. So what it does is it takes, it doesn't like rewrite the whole thing. It just takes difficult words and changes, it replaces it with something else. So in this case, it didn't do that one to photosynthesis, since that's the main word, but it could do that. So it doesn't necessarily change all of them, I've noticed. So like photosynthesis, it didn't, but you can switch it and it gives you an alternative. And evolved or changed and got better. Oh, I have some comments on that translation or that change. But anyways, if we turn that off, they're in that settings. Where was that? And there's settings again up here. We can, or options, you can change, I guess, how simple the rewordify is. So simplify versus maximum words. I guess I don't really know. Do you know what maximum words is, Christine?
So simplify
what?
the lower on the scale, that's gonna be more elementary level. And then at the top is going to be like your top tier college level. So it might not be simplified. It actually might beef it up.
Yeah, so to answer your question, Lori, it does do it in real time. It just instantly changes the whole document. But it only picks specific words. It doesn't like rewrite the whole thing, which there are tools that can do that, but not in Snap and Read. So, and lastly, there is also this tool, which I kind of like, this color overlay, which then allows you to highlight individual lines that can be particularly helpful if you skip lines as you read. So this is kind of nice. And it highlights the entire paragraph and then the line that your cursor's on, which is pretty cool. There's some other settings that this does too. This one is not free. This is an expensive one per year. So that's $85 a year, which it's on the handout too. If you aren't taking notes, you can look at the handout. Oh, and there's also a 14-day free trial, which is nice. So you can test that one out. All right, so that was Snap and Read. Now we're gonna switch gears a little bit here, and I want to look at an app on the iPad. I'm actually gonna look at a couple of them, but I'm gonna start with Envision. Grab the iPad here and switch over to this camera. And I will take this handout. So Envision is an app that really is designed for blind or low vision individuals. If I open this up, it has basically, it uses the camera on your device.
Your face was.
Oh, my face is in there.
Option.
Sorry. So it uses the camera, and you can see along. Oh, it's not on screen. That's right. You can see along the bottom here that there's these different icons to do different things, like instant text. You can scan an entire page or multiple pages. You can even import documents, scan barcodes. You can even describe a scene. If anyone's familiar with Seeing AI, it's similar to that. You'll take a picture and it will describe what it sees. But we're going to stick to the reading features here. And I'm going to use this camera to take a picture of this document here real quick. You won't be able to see it on camera, but you'll just have to trust me that it's working. Scan.
All edges visible. Hold steady.
So it did take that automatically.
Champions for Children with Disabilities.
So what it did is it pulled out all of the text from there. And in our experiments, it did struggle with, different images and different layouts. So like in this handout that uses tables, it sometimes did struggle with the order of things, whereas something that is just a list like this, it is able to figure it out pretty well. But you can see it just pulls out the text and only the text. And so if you're working with worksheets, this can be a great option to quickly scan and read. But there are other tools that are designed just for this feature where you're taking printed documents and scanning them. And those are some of the other things that I wanted to look at. I wanted to look at TextFairy and Prismo. Prismo is, I very much believe, is better than TextFairy. The problem is Prismo is only on iOS, only for iPads and iPhones. TextFairy is only for Android. But I do want to show you briefly how that looks here in just a second. So if I'm going to bring up Prismo, now this is the free one. This is actually Prismo Go. That's actually important to note. There is a paid version which can do a few more things and save documents, but this is just really quick. Scan a document, and you can kind of see it's already finding the text in there. But I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take a picture, and then you can see it tells me where it recognized text, everything that got highlighted in blue, and then here's all the text down here. And you can just have it straight read to you.
Pacer Center registered sign. Champions for Children with Disabilities registered.
It also did some pretty interesting things. It recognized a date, and it has this tool, this area that you can click on to get a date, or add it to a calendar, I should say. It also has this icon here where it recognized a phone. So if you click that, you can actually call the number, which is pretty slick. That can be pretty helpful. You can also just grab specific lines of text, and you can see it's pulling that out as I grab that, which is nice. So that's Prismo Go. You can export and share and copy this, but it doesn't save this document in it. There's a question, Elizabeth? Yeah.
First one is, do you happen to know if there are any of the screen reading apps or text-to-speech apps that are HIPAA compliant?
Any screen reading apps, text-to-speech that are HIPAA compliant? I do not know. Maybe I guess I don't know what the features would be that would make them compliant or not compliant. I think it would have to be any tool that doesn't save data, which potentially this Prismo Go could be because it doesn't save any of the information. So that's potentially a solution. It just takes the picture and works with it while you're reading it. Once I go here, that's now gone. Now I have to do it again. So it doesn't save any data. But I don't know. I don't know what their policies are that would make them HIPAA compliant or not HIPAA compliant. And then the other question.
Is this an option for college textbooks, or do you recommend something else for that?
In this case, Prismo Go is not a good option for textbooks because you really only do one page at a time. However, the paid version of Prismo, you can do page after page. So you take a picture and then swipe, take the next picture, swipe. Now that's a lot of work to scan pages of a textbook. But if it's going to be a ton of work to do an entire textbook, but that is one option. You can, in most cases, find textbooks online, or ask for that as an accommodation to get the electronic version of a textbook. So there are some likely better solutions than trying to manually take pictures of every single page. You probably have better luck finding an electronic version of that textbook. So that was Prismo. Text Fairy. It doesn't have nearly as many of the features, but I did want to take a moment. You look like you had something. Okay. To show. So I was using Text Fairy on our Android tablet. This is a Google Pixel tablet, if anyone's wondering. And it's pretty basic. Let me go back here. Same thing, has a camera. You can take a picture of it. It recognizes text. Boop. You can have some controls over, adjusting it, but I just found it a little finicky. What works way better on Android than this is actually just the built-in camera. So if you are running an Android, you have an app called Google Lens. It's built right in here, and you just use the camera to take a picture. And you can then, as soon as it recognizes that there's text in that picture, you can hit up here to select the text, and now you can have it, you can listen to it, you can translate, you can search it, you can even change what parts of it. And this is just built right into any Android device. Just the Google Lens should just be already installed. If you have an Android that isn't running the Google version of it, you might have to install Google Lens, but very few Android devices don't already have it in there. So I wanted to point that out rather than go through Text Fairy, because this basically does the same thing and does it slightly better. It also has a nice voice too.
Pacer Center. Champions
I don't know
for
if you can hear
children
that.
with disabilities. Accessibility series, Android.
So it's nice. And I actually noticed when comparing to iOS, their camera can do the exact same thing, but I found there's more clicks involved than on the Google Lens version. So in this case, I actually liked the Google Lens feature for reading over iOS, which I'm an Android person, but in this case, I legitimately liked it better. Another question? All right.
On any of these apps, is there a way that if they need to look up a word, that they could just click on it and have it defined?
Yes. I'm trying to think off the top of my head which one that would work. I'm trying to look at our list here. Let's see. Actually on this one in Google Lens, you might be able to do it. Let's see. That word. I mean, you can search for an individual word, but it doesn't just, it doesn't just give you the definition. There's something in read and write. I think you're going to be looking at read and write in a second. That has that feature. Right? That's built in there. So Lori, yes, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but as we go through, I'll try to remember which ones can do that, and point those out. But anyways, those are some built-in features if you don't want to go the route of the Text Fairy app. And Prismo, if you're on iOS, is a great solution. All right, so let's move on.
All right, so now we're moving into speech to text built-in tools. And that can include all of the devices seen. Microsoft Dictation is the one that I'm going to demo. Google Docs is pretty frequently used in schools now, but that just has that function built in there as well. It only works in Google Docs. It doesn't work in any of the other,
I think you have to be online for it too.
Right. Even the slideshows, they don't have voice typing in it yet, unless I'm mistaken on that. And then your mobile devices also have built-in voice typing built in on your keyboard. So if I go in and I open a Windows doc here, I am just going to go up to the top here and click dictate. But before I do that, I am going to go into my settings. And I'm going to make sure that my spoken language is English and my microphone is on. And I'm going to enable auto punctuation. And that's going to automatically add in periods, question marks, exclamation points into when I'm speaking. So if someone really struggles to get their thoughts down on paper, that's going to just automatically do that. Whereas, for example, in Google voice typing, it does not have auto punctuation. So you have to say period, question mark. I also have filter sensitive phrases on as well. So if I go in and I click on my dictation, it should be picking up what I'm saying and showing up.
It's being slow.
Yep, it's
Oh, is it using the right microphone?
what-
'Cause
oh, it's using the button. Let's try it again. Is it going to work this time?
it might try a different microphone,
All
because right now our current one is being used by, there, use that one.
Okay, let's try this microphone. This one is going to pick up what I'm saying and making sure that I am adding in punctuation as I go. It auto-corrects as I talk as well. So this is already built in. So if you already have access to Microsoft Word, Microsoft Suite, it is also accessible in PowerPoint as well as Outlook. And it's already built in there for you. So if you have that Microsoft 365, it's already in there.
It only works on the paid version of that. If you're using Microsoft Online, which is free, it doesn't have this feature. But I think we always like showing this off because that built-in punctuation is really valuable. With Google voice typing, it doesn't have that built-in punctuation, which can be really frustrating. So if that is a huge frustration, this might be a consideration to looking into Microsoft. Then there was a question earlier, is there any speech to text that can easily detect/interpret accents? Depends on the accent. Frankly, I've found Microsoft's detection does a really good job. In fact, in my experience, better than Google's voice recognition. That can change all the time, though. You really have to test it. It depends entirely on how strong your accent is or what type of accent. So maybe to answer that question. All right. Oh, so we just look at that one. All right. So we've gone through a lot of reading stuff. I want to look at some writing, in particular note-taking, and we have three really popular note-taking tools, Notability being one of them, and GoodNotes and Glean. And I actually want to take some time to go over GoodNotes first. And I don't know if I'll bother, I don't know if I'll bother going through Notability. Let me see here. All right, I need to go there.
Nope.
So GoodNotes, the thing to note here, no pun intended, is if I go home, I'm using the free version right now, and I think you can get it for a one-time payment of like $30 or something. They do have a subscription option, which is like $10 a month or something like that. But I really like whenever any type of app offers the ability to just buy it straight out, because this whole world now of subscriptions is really annoying. But anyways, in the free version, I think you can only have up to 3 notebooks at a time. So I have this sample one here. And you can have, different, oh, it's giving me lots of suggestions here. All right. So you can have your different pages here, but basically it is just as it sounds. Let me get rid of that. Okay, it brings up a page, and you can kind of change the backgrounds here, but if you like using a stylus, you can write on here. But you can also switch to the keyboard, and then you can type, which if you don't like using the on-screen keyboard, you can use a Bluetooth keyboard, or in this case, you can get ones that are built into the cases, which can be really nice. But the feature that we really like to point out on this is the whole concept of audio syncing your notes. So this microphone button here, I'm gonna go ahead and allow it. 20-minute limit. That's something I forgot to mention. For the free version, I do have that limit. I'm going to continue to record. So now what's happening is it's recording everything that the microphone on this device can pick up. So if I'm in a classroom and there's a lecture going on and I'm taking notes, it's recording what the lecturer is saying. And when something important comes up, I can say, remember this thing, it's going to be on the test. Let me just write that down, or, remember this important date, or whatever they're saying. You take notes normally like you would. But then when you're done, you can stop the recording. And what's really nice is you can go back when you're looking at your notes, you can go back and you can not only play back the whole recording. So now what's happening is it's recording everything that the microphone on this device. I always forget how to jump to the next spot. But if I scan ahead here, what was that? Click what? Okay. As if I scan ahead, I could see here's the point where that was mentioned. You see how a test is being written out? So that's the point where I wrote that. So I can listen to that. I can say, remember this thing, it's going to be on the test. So let me just write that down, or so I can jump to those areas. Now there is a way to jump to those different points, but I don't remember exactly which one it was.
Close out of this. If you hold down that, it should be.
Hold it, play recording, there it is. So you hold down, play recording. So now what's happening? Oh, it's playing the whole recording. Everything that the microphone on this device. So you do kind of have to scan through it, I think, on this one. I think that's one of the things that was different about this. It's recording everything that the microphone. There are some other systems like Notability, which was the other one that I was thinking about showing, which you can actually click on that and it will jump to that point in time of the player. And there might be a way to do it here. I just haven't seen it. I'm still pretty new to GoodNotes.
I thought it played where you started talking at, but it might have been.
The one thing that, and I'll bring up Notability here in just a second, but the one thing that stands out about GoodNote is it does have a lot of different tools for note taking. So if you like taking digital notes, there's tools like highlighters. This nice little scribble erase is kind of cool. You can just scribble on it and it erases. You have different colors. You have, I like this shape thing where you can just kind of get close to drawing a shape and then it straightens it out for you. So that's kind of cool. Elizabeth, you look like you had something.
On the word, it should jump to that part of the recording.
Okay, maybe, okay, so maybe we just missed it here. So I'm gonna go on here. Let me long press here.
Or, remember
Oh, it did
this
work.
important
Okay.
date, or whatever they're saying, you take notes.
First time.
Yeah, I'm not sure, maybe it was too quick, but yeah, so there I held that word and then it jumped to that point, which is what I thought it did, but I, on the fly, changed my mind apparently. All right, thank you for that. So that is actually really helpful. In that case, it basically has all the same things as Notability. I'll show you the Notability app real quick. I won't demo it, but you can see it's a little bit different. But same kind of layout with some of the different tools in here. One thing I do like in Notability, you have to like highlight something and to move it around, whereas this, you can move things around. You have this hand icon to move things around a little bit easier. I think there's like some 2-finger and 3-finger actions that you can do for shortcuts, but that's Notability. And Notability, does that still have a one-time price on it? So Notability only offers the $15 per year, which isn't so bad option, but that's a pretty good tool. We've shown it in a lot of other past webinars as well. So that one was GoodNotes. I wanted to then take a moment to look at Glean. Now Glean, now technically we don't formally recommend anything because we don't know individuals who are using this. We can't make official recommendations. This one is really hard. If I could, it's hard because it's really expensive, but it has a lot of nice features. I'm going to open up Glean here. So Glean is something like, gosh, what is it? Like $120 a year or something? $152 a year. So if you have the money, you could look into this, but this is really just a really big note-taking tool. If I open up this example here, which they create for you in the demo account, what's going on here is a lecture has been recorded, similar to how I was recording that lecture in that on GoodNotes a second ago, but they've also uploaded the PowerPoint presentation. So you can, as you're listening to, you can jump through the presentation and you can see on the side where it gives you these little breaks. These are where people are talking and where people aren't talking, which is really nice. So you can jump to these important parts. Ugh, that was loud. I don't know how loud it was for you guys, but it was loud on our end. But anyways, so you can jump to these different parts. So as you're recording and listening, you can type in notes, you can put these different icons, you can write in little scribbles, put in tasks, and then you have a whole task list based on that. So it really is a very robust tool for note-taking. It even has an outline feature which does its best to outline the entire recording, and it will also create a transcript from the recording for you to read. So that in itself is a really nice tool. But the expense needs to be considered. And there's a lot more tools, but I won't go through all of those. I just wanted to show you just in general, it's a pretty robust tool with lots of different features. This would require that the PowerPoint be uploaded in advance, correct? Yes, you would need to have access to it in advance, or in the moment, you could upload it there if they sent it to you. So yeah, if you're just showing up and the teacher or instructor has the PowerPoint running and you don't have it, then yeah, it wouldn't work. They would need to upload it. So anyways, that one is Glean, and we are doing pretty good on time, I believe, right? Okay. So I'll turn it over to some reading and writing tools with Christine.
All right, so reading and writing tools, that's going to have a combination. We've looked at ones that just do reading. We've looked at tools that have just done writing. So these are 3 that are pretty commonly known. Helperbird is kind of the new kid on the block. But Read and Write and Cami have been around for a while. Read and Write is used by a lot of school districts and approved, but they do have AI features in it now to where some districts might start blocking certain features of it. That's just something to keep in mind. Cami and Helperbird are the ones that we're going to look at today because Read and Write has been out for so long. So we're going to start off with Cami.
Switch over to this guy. There we go.
Oops.
Oops.
So this is me just opening up a web page or the Cami web page. If you do have Cami as an extension, I don't have it as an extension on this computer, but if you have it as an extension and you open a PDF, it'll have the option to open that PDF with Cami, and it automatically brings you to the Cami page. So this can sync. If you have a teacher account, you can go in and make your Google Classroom assignments in there. But if you're a student, it's a really great one to have to go in and do those reading and writing functions. So I can go in and play what I want it to say. This one has the understand tool. So if I'm highlighting, this should be the dictionary. If it'll pop up. Mine's just not liking me today.
There we go.
There we go. Okay. So this will go in and describe, give you that dictionary definition of certain words if you need that.
Which that addresses Lori's question, I think, earlier, so just wanted to shout that out.
Here's the read aloud feature, so you just go and highlight what you want read,
Instructions.
and it'll stop if I don't highlight everything. So you can highlight the whole thing and it'll read through the whole.
2010. Follow instructions. Follow piece of
So this voice is pretty,
discuss.
this voice is pretty robotic. You can go in and change your voice, but there's again limited voices with this one as well. So we'll just go in, and I think David sounds the least robotic, but you can go in and change his pitch and the speed that he talks as well. There is a free version, but the free version has super limited options. It basically just lets you mark up. It doesn't have the read aloud function. It doesn't have all of the functions that we're kind of looking at today. So that $149 a year is going to be what is probably sought after. It doesn't do much of anything. It does the markup, and you can make a text box, but there's no voice to text and there's no read aloud function with that free version.
Barbara mentioned that the Microsoft Edge browser has built-in screen reader. So does Safari and Firefox. It's just Chrome doesn't, because there's so many extensions that offer it that for whatever reason they haven't made it a built-in feature yet.
All right, next option, we can go in. So if I want to write my answer in here, I'm going to go in and add a text box. And this will let me go in and I can now use voice to text.
Does it need to be uploaded before it will work?
Uploaded to Drive, maybe. It shouldn't need to be. I haven't done it in the past, but. Continue. Okay, let's try it again. So now we're going to test the microphone. Is it picking up the wrong microphone, maybe?
It could be, like we saw before, it might be picking it.
I don't know how to switch out that microphone in here.
It-
But you can see, you can move the text box around, make it bigger or smaller, and fit where you need it to as well. You can also go in and add media. So I like this as a former math teacher. You can go in and add your like math assignment off to the side and then do your work over on the side. But you can do that in GoodNotes as well. So if you have an iPad, GoodNotes is a great option, as well as Cami. They both do very similar functions. And GoodNotes is cheaper. The last one that we'll look at is Helperbird. And again, this one is pretty similar to Read and Write. It's just newer. So we'll go into my armadillos facts. I'm going to go in and turn this on. Now, this is really, let's turn off Snap and Read.
Yeah.
This, you can kind of get lost in all of the functions. You can see this pop up on the side here, this toolbar on the side pops up with so many different features that it can be really overwhelming. What I would recommend is figure out the features that work best for you. And I would go and bookmark them in this quick access. So if I use the PDF reader a lot, I'm going to bookmark that. If I don't take notes a lot, I can just remove that. The dictionary I have, word prediction, I don't use sticky notes. You can just go in and customize it to what you use, because things kind of get lost here down at the bottom, because not only are there all these features, then I can go and open, and it can just be a continuous scroll of too much information. One of the things that I like to do is just change the font. So I'm going to go in and turn on that font, and we're going to change it to Open Dyslexic. And now every web page I go to, as long as HelperBird is on. So right now I have HelperBird toggled on, and it says on at the top right here. It is going to show up with this Open Dyslexic font. So any web page I go to will have that if I save that function. I can also go in and change the text size. If I want to keep the text size as is, I wouldn't turn that on. So if there's spacing problems, you can go in and change spacing. Like if you have challenges with your spacing between letters, you can go in and change that. You can also go in and change the color of your text. There's just so many features in here that we could spend the whole hour on the features that HelperBird has. Border background with paragraph columns, all of that is in there. So I'm going to close that part. That's just reading options. Then we're going into reading tools. You can have your highlight menu on. I also am going to show you reading mode. So this just changes it. So for some websites, it works really well. This one doesn't work the greatest in reading mode. It kind of squishes things, but you can go in and change it so that the font is bigger. But it kind of just removes the distractions. You can go in and change that, the colors of things as well. And it'll read to you. So I can go in at the top.
Armadillo facts learned by Just 10-minute read. General armadillo facts. Only U.S. species.
The other one that it has is Immersive Reader, which works very similar to that reading mode. We're in that Immersive Reader right now. I can also go in and summarize the page. So it'll go in and summarize the entire page for me. We found that when we have Zoom running, some of these tools take 7,000 years to load. So that might not be one we get into right now. Writing tools, this also has word prediction. You can use voice to text, text to speech. It'll open the sidebar here. I like that it has this off to the side. So if you have a question here, you can just text to speech, copy that and paste it in what you are using. And then there's a whole column of dyslexia tools with your ruler, your focus ruler, and your reading guides. Is there one that
We just have a question though.
okay.
When you remove the distractions, would it also strip out the ads?
Yes. If you go in and click remove distractions, it will also take out the ads.
That, yeah, anything with reader view is really nice in that regards, to get rid of those ads and things.
And then there was the Spanish question.
Yeah, up earlier, there's a question about AI, non-robotic voices reading Spanish. And anything that's AI is usually pretty good at different languages. I know Speechify can do Spanish, and I know Microsoft products do Spanish just fine. I think someone else mentioned that with Immersive Reader doing a good job with different languages too. So really in general, you're just looking for those AI voice models are the ones that are not going to sound robotic, and they can, for the most part, do a lot of different languages as well. And then there was another question, and actually, we only have 1 minute left, so
Yep.
we should probably end here, but a question about Open Dyslexia available. So Open Dyslexia is a font you can download on any computer. It's completely free. There's some research on it not always being helpful, but for some people, for the right person, it can be super helpful. I want to skip to the end here. I know Elizabeth already put a chat or a
Says survey link doesn't work.
survey link doesn't work. You're probably
Um,
right, Sarah.
Sarah, yes, Helperbird is constantly on sale for $15 a year. That's why I really like to showcase it because it's just a way cheaper option compared to read and write.
I'm gonna test out that link real
It works
quick.
for me.
Okay, link worked for some people. Okay, we'll have to see. If it doesn't work for anybody, just let us know. If you do need the certificate of attendance, make sure when you get to the end, hit this, please click here. Don't hit done. If you hit done, you'll lose that opportunity to get the certificate of attendance. So do look out for that. If you can't get it for any reason, just reach out to us at stc@pacer.org and we will be able to get that for you. Thank you, Elizabeth, for putting that in the chat. Quick sell for our gala. If you're interested, we have our annual gala coming up on May 10th. Tickets are available on there. You can just go to our website. And are there any other questions? Because we went 1 minute over. All right, well, we had a lot of people. Thank you everyone for coming. This was a lot of fun. Hope to see you at, do we have our next workshops on here? We didn't put our next workshops on here. I thought we put that in.
We
Did I
did.
skip by it?
There we
Oh, right
go.
here. I jumped through. All right. Later this month, we have devices to support wellness, assistive technology for play coming up in April, and assistive technology to support sensory needs also in April. So have a look at those, everybody, and we hope to see you all at the next one. Thanks again, everybody, for coming.